tyres were done. They were done. Mamma mia.
Just before we're going on the show, you pull up this other thing.
Yeah. So we found this. I guess this was they had a conference afterwards.
You used the word head after the race concerning Max Verstappen and the overtake and the contact. Is that correct?
Can I answer that question?
Yeah.
I think it's not fair. I don't know what Lewis did. I'm sure he didn't. We all been in that situation. We fight someone and we go sometimes wheel to wheel and it's close and we have a lot of adrenaline going. Do you think, comparing to football, if you have a microphone on a football player's mouth, that everything he says is something nice? There's a nice message when the guy tackles him and maybe sometimes he fouls him or not. So I don't think it's justified to give us this kind of questions.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
We're just racing and we're full of adrenaline, and sometimes we say these things. I mean, if I hit you in your face, you're not going to tell me, "Oh, Sebastian, that wasn't nice." It's a real reaction, and sometimes I feel it's all a bit blown up and artificial if we have these questions trying to make a story out of nothing.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's a little bit of reverse psychology there from Seb.
For sure, especially with him leading the last two races there. But he makes a very good point, though. If you obviously in the NBA, and even the NFL there, they end up miking even the coaches and even some of the stars there. Not a lot of the stuff you hear is going to be nice things most of the time, too. And I'm sure even like people were saying in football games, like you see the players mouthing off and it's not appropriate to be on camera, but yeah, it's an interesting point to make.
I think it's fair, yeah, and it was right in the driver's room, so you're talking about they just stepped out of the car.
Yeah, exactly.
5 minutes before, so yeah, I think it's not really that big of a deal.
And especially like seconds before when was Lewis Hamilton make that comment, Vettel and Bottas were both talking about Bottas about to overtake him, and you could like see him making all the motions.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my heart was beating. I'm like, but yeah, it's right afterwards,
Yeah, it's even different than a football match or a basketball game. It's even more adrenaline, especially for Vettel hanging on to those last 10 laps or so. So yeah, I mean, I think it's fun to see those kind of things and a little bit of animosity and sort of, I don't know if you call it trash talk, but that's always good.
Yeah, and I mean, I overheard. I think Lewis Hamilton had this whole radio issue throughout the entire race, right? So there's that to add to it. So.
Yeah, and there were certain points, in certain sectors they couldn't hear him because there's a lot of wind noise. Yeah. So he couldn't use the radio, maybe only on the straights or whatever it was, or in slower corners. So yeah, he had that whole issue. They were trying to tell him, he needs to be going a certain amount of delta lap time, and he's like, am I going fast enough? Should I go this time? And then, that.
Yeah, he would never get he would try to get a response. They just wouldn't be able to get through, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what they're using for those types of radios, but they're a lot better than, the ones they used to use old school. But yeah, that was another issue that they had. And just lastly on that Lewis Hamilton note, I think one of the things of why people don't like him is just because he's such a PR machine.
Yeah.
And, he gives you, according to him, every fan in the world is the best fan in the world. Like, every race that he goes to, they're the best fans. Bahrain had the best fans. Next week, China's going to have the best fans. And people are just a bit sick of it. So we'd like to just see more of, I don't know, Lewis naturally, And if that's him naturally, then fine.
I mean,
We'd probably like him more if he was more like that.
Yeah, if that's a real Lewis Hamilton. I think, saying about right after when they were on the podium and they started talking to Lewis Hamilton, like they were questioning him, and all the fans were cheering for him and stuff. And he was just like, "Yeah, no, thank you to all the fans that are here." Yeah. It's just like, well, like. And he was disappointed to be on the podium at that point. To him, like, man, you can't be disappointed and then try to thank the fans for showing up. Like it's
exactly. He's a sponsor's dream. I mean, he's the spokesperson you want to have. But you compare him to Vettel. I mean, Raikkonen. We probably don't even have to talk about Raikkonen or Alonso. They're just a lot more natural. You know what I mean? And they don't really care so much about political correctness or whatever. They stay within the means to make the sponsors happy, but I think Lewis is just a little bit overboard. Yeah.